Today on Politics Unplugged, he's one of the Republicans running in the crowded primary for longtime Congressman David Schweikert's seat. We'll ask him why he deserves the job. Plus, she was almost Arizona's governor. Now she's off to Jamaica, the latest on Kari Lake. And FBI Director Kash Patel faces tough questions in a heated congressional hearing. The panel gives us their thoughts now on Politics Unplugged.
And good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Welch. This is Politics Unplugged, and Congressman David Schweikert's decision to run for governor left a wide open race in District 1, including 3 Republicans fighting for the nomination: former NFL kicker Jay Feely, former state lawmaker Joseph Chaplik, and our next guest, businessman Jon Trobaugh. Thank you very much for being here very much. And let's talk a little bit about why you want to do this. First time on the show, so give us your elevator pitch. Why do you want to go to Congress? What do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, you know, when I decided to jump in this race, one, it was because of the background of the other candidates and my particular background. My background is former national security defense CEO, and then I spent time in Washington, D.C. as a presidential innovation fellow focused on the topics of China and our national security. So when I look at those two things, plus the fact that I was an former AI CEO, and I look at where Arizona's economy is and some of the legislation that's coming out of Congress that will absolutely affect Arizona's future, I recognize that we need someone who can step forward who has these types of backgrounds.
Okay, so former national defense contractor, right? So I bet you've got a lot to say and some thoughts about one of the big issues right now, the war in Iran.
Yeah.
I want to start with the basic question here. This is a Republican primary.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's endorsement is a big deal in these primaries. You did not get that endorsement.
Yeah.
But let's talk. Do you think he made the right decision? Did we need to go to war in Iran?
Well, you know, and I've said this to others in the past too, there's a lot of information we don't know, right? And what I mean by that is from the intel community and where they really were in regards to their development of nuclear arms. So at one level, we have to trust that the administration is making the right call. Myself personally, I also wonder the timing, right? We have a lot going on right now. We have Venezuela that we're dealing with. We are now talking about how it is we're going to slide oil through to fund Cuba, to keep Cuba going, while we're also dealing with Iran. So I, personally have issue with the timing of things and think that we have other America First priorities that we can focus on. But I also don't think it's my place to armchair quarterback that decision, not having all the information.
Well, it's interesting you say that maybe we don't have all the information that the administration has. Do you think the president then should have done a better job, informing the American public about why he decided to go to war and engage in Iran?
No, I think he's informed the American public to the extent that he can. But there are intel
There's still a lot of people have a lot of questions, like, why do we do this?
Not everyone's going to get all the answers either, because we don't share all intelligence briefs with the broader community as well. And that's where I get in to say that, look, there's clearly something more that we don't all know that's going on. But we also know that we've been in a ghost war, if you will, with Iran for the past 50 years. So this is not something that just came out of the blues. We've had ongoing conflict with Iran for many years. As I said, earlier, myself, I can always question the timing, but I'm also smart enough to know, having worked in the defense industry and there's a lot more behind this than any of us realize.
If you were in Congress right now, you want that job, would you be demanding those answers? To know more about why we're doing what we're doing there in that part of the world?
Yeah, I would like to know more, and I would like to better understand. And I think this is one of the things where I also differentiate, right? In my time as a defense industry CEO, as an example, I spent most of my time in the Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, looking at how we work with that intel community to identify bad actors or terrorists before they got to this country. So I think myself personally would be in a unique position to understand and have these conversations about where we are with the Middle East, because the Middle East is one thing, Asia and what's happening with China is another, right? And so, but these things also can often be interconnected as well, right? As we're seeing with the Strait of Hormuz and the president's trip to China.
Well, let me ask you then, do you think we're winning?
Do I think we're winning? Well, I think define win.
You define win. You want to be the congressman.
Yeah,
you define win.
So I would say, are we winning? Yes, I think we're actually being, the president's correct that we could absolutely take out bridges, we could take out power, we could do a lot of things that we are not doing. I think this is about disarming Iran. I think this is about trying to bring them back to the table. Let's get serious about, opening back up the strait. The strait is not, solely theirs. And I think it's also about China as well, and what's happening with the price of oil. And so, are we winning? Yeah, I guess the question is which dimension. I could look at it and say China and say yes. This is great for our discussions with China. I could look at it with Iran and hope that Iran comes back to the table and we close this out quickly and we can all move forward.
But the strait is still closed. Energy prices are soaring.
Yeah.
And it looks like Iran can keep the strait closed and do whatever it wants there right now. I mean, it doesn't look like winning right now to a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know, that Iran can keep it closed, forever per se. I think I think we are being, for lack of a better word, cautious. I mean, we're a very powerful military. There's a lot of things that we can do, and we're looking to bring diplomacy to bear to end this without, causing more damage. And so I think it will come to a close. This is not going to be a long, drawn-out thing, and I think once it does come to a close, I think oil prices are going to move very quickly to lower positions.
Do you think this is the president going against one of his campaign pledges of not getting us into foreign wars?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's where I said, I had said, the timing, right? Myself personally, I would like to see us, it was enough to absorb economically with tariffs, right? And I am all for the reindustrialization of the U.S. for national security as well as employment purposes, and I think that's longer term a good decision, but it also has an economic impact on this.
Does this go against the campaign promise? Yes or no?
Does this go against campaign promise? Again, you could say at face value, you might say yes, but I would also say that, again, we can't armchair quarterback as we're not sitting there with the intel community and we don't have all the information.
Okay.
So I think we have to trust the fact that we elected the president to make the right call for these things.
And final question before we move on to some more economic stuff here. Do you think it's worth the cost? I believe this week the Pentagon has estimated it's cost the American taxpayer about $29 billion so far.
Yeah, and this is again, you get back to where I said I had issue potentially with the timing. Are there other things that we could have done, economic sanctions, etc. For this reason, because we are also funding Ukraine. We still have to provide providing military support to Ukraine, and we still have the cost of Venezuela as well. And ideally, with the Venezuelan oil, everything else, we're going to be able to cover those costs. And when it comes to Ukraine, I mean, we're really talking about allocation of dollars that were already allocated. So I am not a proponent necessarily of looking for global trouble, but I also know that if our national security is at risk, we got to step up and do something.
Okay, and let's talk real quick the economy now. Again, inflation has rose to 3.8%. Energy costs, gas costs are exploding. I believe in your district, I saw on AAA this morning, we tape on Fridays, was nearly $5 a gallon of gasoline. How would you grade this president's handling of the economy?
Yeah, I think the president's actually doing a lot of the right things with the economy. I think the one thing, as I mentioned, the timing of Iran, because that does affect fuel prices. And when you look at the cost of inflation, you look at things, we have the cost between the cost of fuel, and then we also have the impact of tariffs, right? The short-term impact of tariffs and those two things. I would support them because I was there in 2017 when the National Security Doctrine was written, and we hollowed out our ability to manufacture, particularly for security purposes in this nation. So yeah, I think it was the right decision and supportive of that.
And let's wrap on this. We're already a little over time, so we'll have to keep this short. On your website, you describe yourself as a Reagan, conservative Reagan type Republican.
Yeah.
That's interesting because when I think of Reagan, I think of a couple of things. One of those is his 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak bad or ill of another Republican. That's pretty commonplace. I mean, your two of your opponents are going back and forth at each other right now. And the other is that Ronald Reagan did sign legislation that gave a pathway to citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
Is there a place in your Republican Party for for Reagan Republicanism?
Well, I think a large portion of our party are Reagan conservatives as well, particularly in this district. And when I think of being a Reagan conservative, I think of peace through strength, I think of supply side economics, and I think of those principles. In regards to the 11th commandment, I agree with the 11th commandment. And I, personally, I'm sitting back and I'm watching my, opponents throw mud. And if you've heard me talk at any of my events, I, do not look to speak ill of another Republican. And it's not just Republicans. I think it's Democrats as well. I think all of us are tired of negativity and tired of name calling. And let's talk about policy and issues.
You agree with the 11th commandment? Do you agree with giving a pathway to citizenship for millions of undocumented migrants?
Citizenship is for undocumented migrants is a different issue. I think we need to get back to the table and talk about real immigration. I'm all for smart immigration. I am for a merit-based immigration program for economic purposes, but I think we need to revisit this topic of immigration, and it's not as simple as just saying let's just shut the border, that we need to take it to the next step.
All right, we're going to have to end it right there. Thank you very much for stopping by here. And still ahead, Kari Lake has been waiting in vain for a post in the Trump administration. Now she's going to hope to find her own redemption song in Jamaica. Our panel weighs in next.
Caribbean vibes, audits, and taxpayer-funded vacations. This is your weekly political roundup. She came up short in her runs for Arizona governor and the U.S. Senate. Now President Trump has tapped former local news anchor Kari Lake to be the next ambassador to Jamaica. This comes after a turbulent time as head of the U.S. Agency for Global Media and Voice for America. It was Audit Week in Arizona. First, the state released a concerning report that the Department of Education has done a terrible job running the billion-dollar school voucher program that lets parents send their kids to private school with taxpayer money. The state then released another damaging report, this one about the Arizona Department of Corrections. It found that the people in charge of keeping inmates locked up lost track of nearly $50 million from the opioid settlement. And finally, the Arizona Mirror found that taxpayers will be shelling out nearly $200,000 over the next couple of weeks for our state lawmakers' subsistence pay, even though they'll be on vacation. And that is your political roundup for the week.
And let's bring in the panel now to talk about all of that. Republican consultant Marcus Dell'Artino and Democrat Stacy Pearson. Thanks for joining us here. And let's talk a little bit. Let's start with the Trump administration tapping Kari Lake to be the ambassador of Jamaica. Stacy, let's start with you. Let's get your thoughts on this.
Well, I was hoping she would be the ambassador to Mars, but this is just as weird. This is just as strange. I mean, I cannot imagine a woman more ill-equipped to deal with a culture that has legal marijuana for decades than a woman who rallied against it.
Yeah, normally we've seen other types of people from Arizona picked to be ambassadors. We saw John McCain's wife, Cindy McCain. She was an ambassador. I want to get your thoughts on this and what does this mean?
Bob Fannin was an ambassador.
Yeah,
I can't remember to where. But.
And old school folks will remember him as the former chairman of the Republican Party.
That is correct.
Yeah.
What's it mean? I'm sorry. The rest of your question was
what's it mean? And there's been
absolutely nothing.
There's been speculation too that the Trump administration just wants to get Kari Lake out of Washington and far away from there as possible.
Well, I think clearly her role was completed at her other assignment. She needed a new job, and I think they found one for her, and it was a job that needed to be filled. So look, there's not a lot to read into this. It'd be a great gig. I'd love to get it, frankly, but. It is what it is, and have fun with it. It's the opportunity to do any harm is really low in Jamaica, really low. So I think it'll be just fine.
What do you think she's going to be remembered for her time at Voice of America? I mean, it was a very turbulent time there. She tried to fire people. The courts came back, said you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. What do you think she's going to be remembered for at that position?
The Americans became aware that we had Voice of America. I mean, her dismantling of our propaganda machine in other countries, most of us weren't really aware of. So the fact that she did that, got chastised for it, and now they've sent her out to Jamaican pastures. Pretty funny.
Now let's get your thoughts. Just had Jon Trobaugh on. He's one of the candidates fighting for the Republican nomination out in Arizona's Congressional District 1, the fighting first. Let's talk a little bit, get your take on where that race is. Now he also faces Jay Feely, former football kicker, and is the odds-on favorite right now. He has the Trump endorsement. He has all the money. He's got also former state lawmaker Joseph Chaplik.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle. And, first of all, you start with the Trump endorsement in a Republican primary. That's a huge advantage going into that race. Joseph Chaplik is a former legislator, of course, so he's got a base built around him. A favorite, a turning point. And so I really think that right now the battle lays between those two. And he described himself as a Ronald Reagan Republican. And right now, those people are sort of a minority within the Republican primary.
Because I was going to follow up with you on that as being an old school Republican. Is there a place for Reagan Republicanism in the current party as it stands?
Well, the place is about that big, but yeah, there's a place for it. It's just quite smaller than it used to be. And, right now it's Trump's Republican Party. Yeah,
and on the Democrat side, some interesting developments over the past couple of weeks. I mean, DCCC came in, endorsed Marlene Woods in the Democratic primary in that race, even though Amish Shah had won the nomination a couple of years ago. What do you think this means? 'Cause I haven't seen any money coming in so far from the DCCC for Marlene Woods' campaign. What does that endorsement mean for that campaign and the Democrats in that district?
I mean, it is different. So one of the criticisms of the Woods campaign is it looks just like it did last time when she finished third. And this does change that trajectory. If she's got those national funders and that national support, it's anticipated she'll have national money. So that could be helpful. And I'm hoping that the D-Trip has polling to show that she's the best candidate to come out of the general.
Well, the follow-up question on that is, Chaplik has served that area, parts of that area in the state legislature. He works very hard. Again, won the nomination a couple of years ago. Be kind of awkward if he ran, even though the DCCCs took the rare step of getting involved in a primary and basically endorsing a candidate, right?
It is unusual. That said, Marlene fits the absolute profile of that district, a former Republican who, after 2016, was done with the Trump administration, is pro-immigration, pro-immigrant, has pro-choice, has been very public on some of the social issues and the basic human kindness issues. So she reflects that district extraordinarily well.
Yeah, and in a general election, obviously, the affordability is going to be huge. CD1 is a little bit more of an affluent district. Do you think gas prices, affordability is going to hit the same in that district as it may be in a more blue-collar district?
Yeah, it's going to hit. It's hitting everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in a more affluent district or a less affluent district, number one. Number two is, parts of that district are affluent, other parts are not. And so, yes, that issue is going to be top of mind.
All right, let's take a quick break right now. But when we come back, FBI Director Kash Patel faces questions about his drinking during a congressional hearing. That's next on Politics Unplugged. And to get more in-depth on the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast. This week, I'm joined by Dr. Kari Lake Ruiz, a Democratic candidate for Superintendent of Public Instruction. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday evening wherever you get your podcasts. And let's bring the panel back in here. Thanks for sticking around. And let's start a little bit with the latest thing with the budget negotiations. Now, Governor Hobbs has recently said that she is ending the bill moratorium. And I was joking, it's kind of like that old question about if a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, did it make a sound? Because she ends the bill moratorium. Lawmakers are on vacation right now until the beginning of June. Marcus, walk us through this.
I think it's a good faith gesture on behalf of the governor. And also, not to read too far into this, but I think what is really being said is we are super close on a budget deal. We actually might have a budget deal. Right now, it's just about attendance. And what has a tendency to happen in late May, beginning of June, is that members go on their summer breaks. Their kids are out of school. They're going places. They're going to family events. And so getting the majority of of Republicans to be there at the Capitol for a couple days gets to be a lot hard.
Yeah, and what does the governor need to get out of this negotiation to say that she's got a big victory and go out off on the campaign trail and do all that?
I mean, her priorities have been very, very clear. I mean, she's funding border security, so that's going to stay in that package. She wants to comply with a court order on corrections. She wants to restore cuts that have been made to higher ed and balance the budget ultimately. And the tax conformity package could not be considered independent of what the spending package looked like. So I think in terms of just doing these things the right way, you can't cut from here without figuring it out over here. I think just the sanity is the win.
Yeah, and one of the big points of contention, obviously, was the governor has been wanting this legislature to forward the Proposition 123 education funding piece and fund that to the ballot to extend it, and then versus the full tax conformity. Republicans want the full tax conformity from Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. Hobbs wants about half of that. Could there be a deal made there? Is that where you see this heading, or where else do you see a deal going?
There could be, but here's what I would say. No politician, regardless of whether you're in the governor's office or the legislature, wants to go back and ask taxpayers to refile their taxes. So I think that the argument about the tax structure is an argument for next year, not for this year. I will tell you, this is my out-of-the-box prediction. And when we started back in January, we talked about big issues coming, and I brought up data centers. And then since then, and there was a flurry of data center bills that were dropped this session, and all of them went vastly dead, really, at the end of the day. And so it's been quiet for months about data centers. I would guess that you will see something on data centers in this budget.
Yeah, quick question on that. I mean, data centers we've seen over the past year and a half have become really a political lightning rod. How did this happen?
Well, no one knew what they were. Like these giant buildings, one even close to my home pops up. You're like, what is that giant prison-looking thing? I mean, people they were short on attention to what was happening, and when they figured out that those big buildings didn't have a whole heck of a lot of jobs inside them and they used a lot of water, they got really frustrated.
Although there is new technology, so some of these assertions about data centers aren't accurate anymore with the newer technology coming online. Yeah,
let's move on. Let's talk. The Auditor General has been pretty busy this week. Let's start with the Department of Corrections. They looked at that and they found that DOC lost track of $50 million from an opioid settlement. That can't make the governor look good, can it?
It lose track of, misappropriate. Nobody wants those audits to show any money missing, especially money as critical as opioid settlement money that is supposed to be spent to either treat people with opioid addictions or prevent them.
Yeah, and the Auditor General also looked at ESAs and basically told them, you guys are doing a terrible job watching this, watching how this money's being spent.
I mean, none of this is surprising. In the case of Department of Corrections, Chris Mays has been making an issue out of it. And frankly, to be fair, the money didn't get lost. The money was there. It was just used for a circumstance of which the lawsuit said you can't use it for. So, they stretched a little bit, I would say. And then on behalf of the ESAs, is there anybody who said the program was working? No, of course, big shocker that the Auditor General comes out and issues this report. But keep in mind, it's also during a primary election. And so Tom Horne took some pretty big arrows this week, and his Republican opponent capitalized on that.
Well, let's wrap on this. FBI Director Kash Patel, really a heated hearing on Capitol Hill. He was asked about his drinking, things like that. What were your main takeaways from that, and do you think he's going to keep his job?
Oh, I think he should be promoted to the Supreme Court by those admissions. If you're giving out bottles of booze, I think that makes you a Brett Kavanaugh-worthy contender for a Supreme Court appointment. No, I think it's ridiculous. It was a serious agency. It was one of honor and respect, and this guy is behaving extraordinarily badly.
All right, and I think we're going to have to wrap it right there. That is all the time we have this week, but be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.